Mark chapter 6, 35 to 45. We're looking again at the feeding of the 5,000, the Lord of the Banquet. Now, if this story is in all the Gospels, plus the account as well of the feeding of the 4,000, then God is obviously underlining its importance to us and trying to stress something that we need to hear. So we may think of the most obvious, the first thing that comes to mind is this point, that Christ supplies every need. He can do it. That every need can be met, and that if Jesus is there, then supply will exceed demand. And it's an amazing and an encouraging truth, no matter what situation I'm in my life, to know that Christ can sort it out. But what about our role in the story? If we see ourselves as disciples, for example, that seems logical, doesn't it? Put yourself into the story as a disciple. The disciples don't come off very well. They sort of meander haplessly about, saying, well, it'd take 8 months of money to feed this lot. You know, making foolish remarks, trying to figure out the problem, counting the loaves and fishes, looking at the crowd and looking at the loaves and fishes. It's all, and then sorting them out into little manageable groups of 150. No, you move over that way a bit. Move over, and you're holding this roll in front of you. It's a bit ridiculous from one packed lunch, isn't it? What were they thinking when all that was going on? And there's a really powerful emphasis in Mark's words about the scale of the need. They were hungry. They have nothing to eat. It is already late. He had compassion on them, being like sheep without a shepherd. And a shepherd supplies food, doesn't he? Or leads them to pasture. And all that physical and demonic sickness burdening them, coming at him from every angle. It's a very wearying kind of picture. And the disciples, however, when the story starts, are on a roll, no pun intended. And they've returned from preaching and are buzzing with the idea of possibility. You know, the demons fled. It's fantastic. What's next? Give me a miracle. And Jesus challenges them in two ways. First of all, he challenges their busyness, and he says, rest. Slow down. Listen. Spend time with me. And if you want to walk with God, then you have to walk at his pace. In fact, Paul said, keep in step with the Spirit. And sometimes the Spirit stops. Keep in stop with the Spirit. And then the second challenge he gives them is, you give them something to eat. Wow. And the Greek, you can tell where the emphasis of a sentence is by the way they construct it. And so the emphasis is very clearly on you. He's not saying, you give them something to eat. Give them something to eat. No. The emphasis is, you. Give them something to eat. So they do their best. Maybe they find a 12-year-old and bully him into giving him the packed lunch, into parting with his sandwiches. No, my mum gave them me. And they organise it as best as they can. And then Jesus steps in and Jesus takes the food. He looks to heaven. He blesses. He breaks. He gives to the disciples to give to the people. It's a whole sequence of verbs. Take, look, bless, break, give. Interesting sequence. Now we know the miraculous outcome of the story, but it's instructive to think of Jesus saying, you give them something to eat. What was he doing? Was he teasing them? Because he knew what he was going to do. Was he allowing them to see their own inadequacies, that their resources could only go so far before he stepped in? Was he prompting their faith? Okay, you've been found faithful, you've preached, you've seen demons coming out of people, you're excited. Okay, now you give them something to eat. Now I want to test you at the extremity of your faith level. Are you, remember him saying, oh, where is your faith? Oh, you have little faith. And now he's saying, okay, give them something to eat. Now, all those suggestions have been made. But maybe there was something else going on. Maybe your role in the story is not that of the disciples. Maybe it's not even that of the little boy bringing his little that can feed a multitude in service to Jesus. Or maybe, think about it this way, maybe you're the packed lunch. You give them something to eat, and you are brought to Jesus, and you are painfully inadequate for the level of compassion, level of need around you, no matter how compassionate you are, but you are brought to Jesus, you are blessed, you are broken, and you are given. And in that givenness, when you surrender to the Lord Jesus, then it produces a miracle of grace, like a warm, savoury smell, like walking past the bakery. When you are given to God, it produces a miracle of grace. And Jesus said, even if you have faith like a grain of mustard seed, it will sprout and spring forth and produce shelter and a health to people around. The birds will come and nest. And that's what you do when you are brought to Jesus and you are blessed and broken, because you can't be yourself anymore. You have to be surrendered to him and given. But remember, we are only the packed lunch. He is Lord of the banquet. God bless you.